Krystal Nance from Communications 111876. These are my visual aids. Imagine looking in the mirror and seeing your flesh hanging off of your frail body, bones protruding. Your skin is yellowing and your body aches for energy while you stand in front of the mirror, your worst enemy. Imagine thinking about calories and food every single minute of every single day. While most of us don't think this way, in the mind of an anorexic, those thoughts are uncontrollable and constant. Obsessive thoughts take over their bodies and their lives, and anorexics ultimately live for their disease. Today, I will inform you of anorexia, a disease that affects over 8 million people in America alone, most of those being women. This will open your eyes to the disease itself in our society, along with causes, symptoms, and treatments that go along with it. Let's begin with some overall facts regarding this disease. In the New York Times article, Anorexia Overview, it gives us insight to the disease. Anorexia is an intense fear of weight gain and a refusal to keep weight under normal circumstances. Anorexics suffer from dysmorphic body images, where they look into the mirror and see themselves as being much larger than they really are. Anorexia comes about into our society through social and media portrayals of overly thin women, while genes and hormones can also play a factor. Some symptoms include yellowed skin, dry mouth, loss of bone and muscle strength, depression, and suicide ideation. Treatment is oftentimes difficult, where the persons with anorexia are usually in denial. Family and outside therapy is oftentimes encouraged. Now that we know a little bit more about anorexia, we can relate it to our world today. In the New York Times article, Americanization of Mental Illness, it indicates that America is pushing its ideas of mental illness into the Eastern world. In 1994, a girl from Hong Kong lay dead in the street, and magazines and newspapers alike didn't know why. Her symptoms were symptoms that they had never seen before, and they turned to America and generalized the idea of anorexia. Dr. Lee noticed the change, and once it became known in their society in Hong Kong, now he has several patients a month, whereas back in the early 90s, he had several patients a year. The Americanization of mental illness truly has spread from the Western civilization into our Eastern world. Now that we've heard about the globalization of mental illness, let's dive a bit deeper into anorexia in our society. After all, it's only a click away. In the Time magazine article, Anorexia Goes High-Tech, it explains anorexia as an exhausting disease, one that consumes most of your life. While it can consume the individual's life, people get lonely, and they turn to technology. Anorexics turn to technology, and there are more than 400 sites dedicated to them. These sites are called pro-Ana sites, or My Goddess Ana. These sites are controversial in ways that they promote anorexia, and it's a little society of anorexics where you can go to get tips and thinspirations and other things. While the creators of the sites give a warning at the beginning of the site that they don't want to impede on anyone's recovery, they do want people who do not agree with pro-anorexic sites to leave them alone. The Association of Anorexia and Associated Disorders asked Yahoo in 2001 to take down pro-Ana sites, as they had the most out of any web portal. And days later, 115 sites were taken down. This is huge, and organizations like that are trying to do these things every day. This organization is now going after the creators of the sites to ultimately get them off of our World Wide Web. Now that we have seen how easy it is for people of all ages to seek out information on anorexia, let's turn to a story that puts everything into perspective. A CNN news story that aired earlier this year, From 58 Pounds to Thriving, was the story of Chelsea Roth. Chelsea suffered from a stroke at 15 years old due to her anorexia. She remembers thinking she wanted to die, and she was convinced that this was God's plan for her. She recalls the pain she was in as her tailbone was protruding through her flesh, and she was wetting the bed for months on end due to losing control of her bladder. At 17 years old, she was released into the world from the hospital, and the doctors and therapists that gave her treatment there offered her housing and therapy pro bono. She was one of the lucky ones. Now she is 23, she's in college, a yoga instructor and a writer, and she ultimately hopes to be the beacon of light for those who are suffering in silence. And she hopes for the community to take down the stigma of anorexics and people with eating disorders, where they don't have a choice in the matter. The only choice they have is for them to get better. I hope that each one of you gained an understanding of the disorder and what it truly entails. It is in fact a dangerous and unhealthy way to live, but with more knowledge and more people who are aware, we can try to help those who are suffering. Let me end by saying, only 1 in 10 individuals with an eating disorder will seek treatment, while over 24 million are suffering in our world today. This is a destructive disease, and my hope is that for those suffering to seek help, and for those not, to help those who are, and to let them know that there is hope. As Laurie Anderson once said, there is no magic cure, no making it go away forever. There are only small steps upward. An easier day, an unexpected laugh, a mirror that doesn't matter anymore.